Welcome back to my channel. We've just finished doing a review, chapter 1 to 10 of my best-selling book, Addicted to Being Broke. Let's talk about eradicating a poverty mindset. I hope you've managed to catch up with the full series. Throughout the end of each chapter, there's sections for you to write your reflection through that chapter you just read, your celebration, what it is you feel like you can celebrate at this point, and also your encouragement. What is it that you can encourage yourself to do more of, or something that's sort of come to light since reading that chapter to help you. And at the beginning of the chapter, I talk about throughout, once you complete each chapter, to just put away, whether it's £1 each chapter you complete, or put away £5 or put away £10. So it's like at the end of the book, the challenge is then, how do you spend this money you've managed to put aside? So you've got to chapter 10, you've got to the end, and you've managed to save £10 or £50 or £100. And the last chapter is called 0 to 100. And basically it's just referring back to the beginning of the book when we spoke about less than 22% of adults at the time in the UK had less than £100 in savings. So the aim is by the time you got to the end of the chapter, hopefully you've managed to save that money and getting used to the habit. So it's not so much the amount, but it's the habit. And as I said, a lot of people might look at or hear £100 and just think, oh gosh, that's such a small amount. But for somebody who's been struggling with debt and not having any money put aside, it's an achievement, and it's definitely a building block. So don't allow the noise outside to confuse you with your own success. In the book, I take the smallest amount, which is the £10, and just say, how do we divide this? How do we help this money to grow? So you put aside £1, which you can put into like a saving pot, and then you take another £1 and use that as your giving money. As we spoke about, the secret to living is giving, so you use that as your giving money. And this could be like you're giving to a charity. You can even use that to buy a few cans of food and drop it at a food bank. There's just so many different ways that you can actually give and feel helpful. And then the other £8 that you have left is, how do you divide this? And in the book I talk about growing that £8. Whether you're able to get a few things online, you'll be so surprised how many things you can actually get for cheap that you're then able to resell and basically make that £8 grow. And then you do it again and you just continue the cycle. So it is a good way of sticking to the habit of getting better with money. And as I say, this is not any financial advice or anything like that. It's literally just me sharing my story, sharing my journey, and how I went from 0 to 100. And it's always to remember that getting better is the main aim. Celebrate your journey, celebrate your wins. Consistency is key. And just never give up on something you believe in. If you believe you can make a change in something, if you believe you have something within you that you want to work towards to get better, don't give up on it. Work hard at it, and even when you reach the stumbling blocks, push them out of the way, climb over them, do what you need to do to just get yourself past that and to get to the goal that you want to get to. Closing chapters of the book are basically just what I wanted to be able to achieve with the book, and that is to mainly remove the stigma of the lack of financial literacy or being broke, especially as an adult. If you're struggling financially, it is looked down on, and I think it's important for us to discuss it and talk about it, because as I said, so many people have so many different situations which mean that everyone's finances is different. You could find somebody who's an adult, they're single with no children and have a lot of money. You might find somebody else that's single and has got 5 children and has a lot of money. But you might find the opposite, where someone's single as an adult and has got no money, and somebody else that's a parent and has got 4 or 5 children and has no money. So there's no sort of blanket ground or a fair playing ground for everyone. But as I always say, responsibility remains with you as an adult to make sure that you're doing your best to get better if you need to. To also talk about the cycle of just earning and spending. It can just become a way of life, and what we want to do is trying to find a way to remove that constantly waiting for payday. And it's not easy, but it's something to work towards. So I'm really excited because I'm always trying new things. I'm always trying to use my paycheck to invest in something new with the hope of it's going to give me a better return. And then I can be looking at that return for cash flow rather than waiting for my paycheck for cash flow. Everybody has got their own sort of set of beliefs or plans. This is mine, and I'm happy to share it, because when I talk about these things and when I tell people I've written a book and what it's about, they feel so empowered after reading it, and they've left good reviews. So I know that it might be my plan, but it might be just something that somebody else needs to hear to encourage them to then either set their own plan or really think about their future. What I really wanted is being able to talk about money the same way, like before going to the gym, it wasn't like a lifestyle as it is now. If someone feels that they need to become fitter or get in better shape or just find something to do towards their health, they can just go and join the gym. You can just go and join the gym, and it's easier to talk about going to the gym now than it was many years ago. And that's what I sort of wanted the financial talks to be like. Like if you're struggling, you can just talk about it, and you can then find a way to get better, find a way to secure your future. And it's good because obviously there's so much information available online, like so many businesses, there's a lot of financial coaches out there as well. But it's also important for you to know where you are. So somebody else might make it seem to you like it's such a breeze, it's so easy, of course you can do it. But you can't just buy into somebody else's dream or somebody else's vision. You need to be able to build that self-confidence within yourself to accept where you are and work from where you are. And my hope is that in the future, and I think it is happening now, as I said, I started writing a book a while ago, it was published a few years ago. The hope is that younger children will be able to be taught these things from a younger age to help them, so that when they get to adult age, they have more of an understanding of how much exactly they need to be earning to be able to afford their life and to be able to do things with their money to help it grow. I'll conclude this video by just sharing a conversation I was having with a young lady. She's very young, but when I asked her, how do you sort of cope with money, or how is your financial understanding of money? It was so refreshing to hear her say that, yeah, she's really good with money, that she's a saver, she saves a lot of money. It's something she was taught by her mum to save and save and save. But she does say sometimes she thinks, what am I actually saving for? But it was so refreshing to hear that version of the story. And the encouragement is, this is just my story, and there's so many other people out there with fantastic, amazing, inspirational stories. Find a story that is relatable to you and will help you to grow in your journey. As always, if you have any comments, do leave them below, and I will see you on my next video.